But anyways, let's move into our final topic. We're talking our favorite team here on the Fast Break Podcast, the Orlando Magic. We're talking if they get the number 1 overall pick. Right now they are slotted at 2 behind the Atlanta Hawks. We're talking, though, if they win the lottery, because lottery's changed. Now,
it's also only by a half game, too, I believe, that they're behind.
Exactly. So they can be the number 1 team on Tankathon, if they lose a game and the Hawks win one. But right now, you look at the way that the lottery's been rearranged and everything, there are higher chances for Orlando to still get the number 1 pick, even if they are at 2 or 3. But looking at it, taking this all together, there's still a chance that Orlando gets the number 1 pick. Before going to who they should take at number 1 if they end up landing there due to the lottery, let's talk about who will be on this team in the future for Orlando, because obviously this team's still pretty young. They just drafted Jonathan Isaac last year. Alfred Payton's still young. I think he's around 22 years old, 23 years old, if my mind serves me correctly. Aaron Gordon, very young kid, looked great early on in the season. Evan Fournier, very young. Mario Hezonja, very young. Vucevic, near his prime. I think he's about 27, 28. So are there any for sure players that are going to be sticking around in your guys' mind for the Orlando Magic next year?
I mean, it's Hezonja. Hezonja, I think, will stay. Gordon, I think, will stay. Alfred Payton, I think, will stay, but it'll be interesting to see if they move on from him.
Let me say that this way. Are there any for sure players that are going to be in the starting lineup? Are there any players that you need to keep in the starting lineup if you're the Orlando Magic?
It's Aaron Gordon. You can just stop after Aaron Gordon.
Just making sure
they're not letting him walk. I know he's an RFA, but they're not letting him go. He's going to be back for sure.
No, he's fantastic. They're not going to let him go. He's 22 years old, and he's playing
Alfred Payton is the one I look at because, I mean, the thing that I look at the top is what do you want to go with? If you're the number 1 pick, you're either going to go with 3 things. You're going to go with what everyone said during our mock draft. You go BPA, whatever that is for the Orlando Magic on their personal draft board. Or if you're looking positionally, you either go with a ball handler's point guard player to replace Alfred Payton, or you go with a big, being DeAndre Ayton or Marvin Bagley. Those are your 3 choices. Yeah. Either go big man, go point guard, or go BPA on your personal board.
I feel like at least if you're going to keep Aaron Gordon, you can't go Bagley. If we're throwing that out there, just because they play such a similar position, we don't know what Bagley's position strictly is.
And I almost want to asterisk on top of that, Sean, to your boy. If he comes back this year, Michael Porter Jr. could make his way back in conversation if he comes back this year.
But I feel like that plays more into BPA than fit. Because
Fit
I think I don't think he fits with the Orlando Magic and Aaron Gordon. But they're 2 similar players. They're both super athletic. Right now, obviously, Aaron Gordon's showing that he can shoot from deep right now. I think he's shooting still around 37% from 3. Michael Porter isn't that great of a facilitator. He isn't that guy that's going to be...
He's a decent ball handler, but he's not like Ben Simmons.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's not a guy that can be... He might be point guard, point forward for a little bit, but he's not a point forward. He's not a Ben Simmons for you out there. He's not a LeBron type out there.
Okay,
he's more like KD in the sense of KD can dish the ball a little bit, and I'm talking early KD. Early KD was more of a scorer. He was more of a guy that's going to set up his own shot rather than be a facilitator.
Right. Interesting.
So I look at Michael Porter Jr. I think if you think he's the best player available, that's why you go with Michael Porter. But he's not a fit for you. And with Bagley's not a fit as well, just because he's going to be more likely a power forward. He's too small to play a center. I really don't know where Bagley's position is going to be. He could be a 4 or 5. He's too small to play the 5, and he's really not truly a 4 in my mind offensively. I feel like he wants to be more of a point forward when I watch him play. He's not really a guy that I have a position slotted in for. So I look at least for this team, it's either, like Ricky said, either point guard, BPA, or DeAndre Ayton. Really could fall into the fact, though, that maybe it's just a hybrid of all of it. You get a small forward and a point guard, a point forward, in Luka Doncic, who I know you are absolutely loving, Dave.
I was like, why do we keep saying BPA? Just say his name. That's just almost insulting.
Well, I think that you made a good point that BPA could mean either Doncic or Michael Porter Jr. if Porter Jr. comes back.
Right now, I think most people have their BPA. I mean, if you're looking at the tiers, it's going to be in that top tier. It's going to be Doncic and Ayton. Right now, I mean, I have Porter as my best, but that's just because I had him coming into my best. I don't feel like that changed due to this injury. But at least best fit for the Magic, it's either Ayton or Doncic. and I don't think really Porter fits with them. So looking at what Doncic could bring to this team, pushing out pretty much Peyton, because I mean, offensively he's going to be playing the point guard. Most likely defensively he's going to be guarding 3s and 2s. Doncic being 6'8", 6'7", around there. What do you think that he would bring to a team that's built around Aaron Gordon and then Jonathan Isaac pretty much coming off the bench because he's not going anywhere? What do you think he would bring to a team with Aaron Gordon around him?
I'm honestly not 100% sure yet because these are tools that he's never had anything like playing around him. Like he's playing in the EuroLeague without guys who can do what Aaron Gordon can. Like there's no one in the EuroLeague who can do what Aaron Gordon can. It's scary. He's an athletic monster who has now, like you said, extended his range out. He can shoot from deep. He really is an interesting player. So that combo, I'm not sure. I know it'll be good. I know like adding Doncic won't be a bad thing for this team, but what specifically will it do for them? Good thing. Like that's the shitty thing. It's like he's never played with anyone who can shoot, as consistently as someone like Evan Fournier. He's never played with Gordon. He's never played with someone with the length and body size to abuse people like Isaac can in the future. So I honestly think it's a great fit for them going forward. The problem is like how much do they believe in, Luka going forward and Euro players, and do they feel like there's something, shiny over there in Trae Young where he's got that superstar potential that Luka might not? To them, it's an in-house decision that they have to make.
You mentioned in the mock draft that wherever the Orlando Magic end up, that you're slotting Trae Young there. So why did you say that, and why do you feel like why would you feel like Doncic would go over that? Because you're saying that they would probably go Doncic fits well with them.
Yeah, I think Doncic is the
best player.
Yes.
So why would you say that? You were even saying if they land number 1 that you're slotting Trae Young in there. So why do you think Trae Young fits so well?
That one might have been a little harsh, but. Even though, it's just Trae Young has, he's a super polarizing player. He has, uber superstar potential. The man will shoot from anywhere. He has incredible confidence. He gets shit for not being able to close at the rim, but to be honest...
But he goes to the line.
He's starting to play that whole body control game down low and bouncing off people. I think his game will evolve. I think he's a great player, and I think he's someone who is going to be a dominant player in the NBA if he pans out. Yes, there's bust potential there. Yes, you have less of that. That's the problem. Is he has superstar potential. Yes, Luka has star potential, maybe superstar potential, depending on how you see him and how his game fits into the NBA. But Luka's floor is miles above Trae Young's. Trae Young could be a bust and done league in 3 years, 4 years. I wouldn't even whatever. But Trae Young could be something special as well.
The whole Trae Young, Luka Doncic situation here is all going to get decided with one thing. There are reports that the Pistons want to trade for Evan Fournier. If the Magic pull a deal where they ship Fournier anywhere, then it's why wouldn't you go Doncic? Why wouldn't you bring back Peyton, bring back Gordon, and then draft Doncic and have your starting lineup be Peyton and Doncic in your...
I'm the opposite way.
Just wait, real quick. Does Stan Van just want the Orlando Magic? Why is he just got Tobias? He got fucking... He wants
to trade for Fournier.
He's proven a point.
Okay. I'm just throwing it out there. I'm just throwing it out there. Tobias, getting him. Fournier.
He knows the players.
Yeah.
Does he? Was he around for...
I don't know.
I don't think he was around for Evan Fournier. He got drafted, 2012?
Couldn't even tell you.
Yeah, and he was drafted in 2012 by Denver. He didn't come around until 2014.
Point being, if Fournier moves, then I could see Luka Doncic.
I'm almost the opposite because if Fournier leaves, you need somebody who can jack up shots all day. Does that not scream Trae Young? Luka can shoot. Don't get me wrong, but as much as I'm on the Luka's the best player train, you have to admit that Trae Young has something special going on.
Here's a question I'll ask you guys because I think we got this in the comment section of our mock draft. If you're drafting Luka, is he your if de facto primary ball handler all the time? Or is he the one where it's we have a primary ball handler, but we also have Luka who can bring the ball up as well and be a ball handler too?
I think Luka's best skills is what he does, at least bringing the ball up and at least facilitating an offense. I don't see him as a guy coming off screens, a guy, being a spot-up shooter, anything like that. Luka doesn't have that skill, so I would feel if you're going to draft Luka, you have to at least bring out what he can passing the ball and facilitating and using his handles to the best of your potential, because he's not a guy that's going to be averaging around 25 points per game ever in his career. Maybe he hits that at his peak, but I doubt he's ever going to be a 25-point per game scorer. I feel like he could be around maybe a 22, 20, 21, point game per score, but I feel like he's going to be more of a guy that's
like a 21-8 guy.
Yeah, 21, 8, and 5 maybe. I don't know. I feel like he's going to be a guy that's very well balanced. I feel like he's going to be what we see consistently now in the NBA. I mean, you look at guys like Jason Tatum, you look at guys like Ben Simmons. They're coming in and they're doing everything for their team. Yeah. I don't feel like Luka Doncic is ever going to be the scorer for his team. I don't think he's ever going to be a guy that's ever near the top of the scoring leaders in the NBA. I look at Luka Doncic as a guy that's going to bring the ball up. He's going to be handling the ball. He's going to be facilitating the offense. I feel like he's your modern-day point forward, just an international player that we really haven't seen. I know Ben Simmons is technically from Australia, but I don't think of him as an international player because he wasn't. He played at LSU. Yeah. But looking at Luka, I feel like he is exactly what you want in a point forward. Maybe doesn't have the skills right now to be exactly what a Ben Simmons is because he doesn't have that same athleticism and penetrating. But he is more well-rounded. And right now, I mean, you don't really need the build of Ben Simmons to be a point forward because you could still be a bigger, guard in this league. So I mean, Luka still has the ability to create and shake off defenders. So I feel like the best choice for them would be Luka if they're going BPA, and if they want to fill it out and still believe in Elfrid Payton for some god-awful reason, they'll go Ayton. But I think if they have the number 1 overall pick, it needs to be Luka Doncic if you are the Orlando Magic. Yeah. And this isn't due to like who I think is the best player. I think fit-wise, if they have the option to take Luka, you have to go Luka. And that's at least looking at everything out there, looking at Trae Young, who I feel like has a ton of bust potential, but also I feel like you said, he has
he's like Baby Beard out there, man. He is a mini James Harden.
Like, I mean, people want to say Steph automatically, but I mean, and that's more just because of his range. Yeah. But I mean, what he does passing the ball, it's definitely been spectacular. But again, he's 6'2". If we're talking about build right now, this is not a guy that's going to be able to go into the lane and handle NBA defense. He's not going to be able to handle the contact and the consistent brutal beating that a body's going to be hating. You look at James Harden. This guy is loaded. And you look at a guy like Chris Paul. Chris Paul, same height as Trae Young right now, 6'2". Chris Paul's constantly injured. Chris Paul's constantly hitting the floor and banging up his knee. I look at Trae Young and I feel like he's going to be more in that, and more in Steph's camp as well, because Steph isn't a bigger guy. Where Steph's consistently injured. I know he has problems with his ankles. Always had problems with ankles, but looking at Trae Young and Luka, not only is he safer, but I feel like he's a better fit as well in Orlando. So I look at that, taking all of it into advantage. You're either going Luka in my mind or Ayton, and you need, at least in this day of age, a guy that can create for your team and a guy that can be your guy that you go to every single time going up the court. And I feel like Luka brings that to you, and scoring-wise, you can lean more on Aaron Gordon because he's shown already that he's developing his game to more than just an athletic freak. And I feel like he can take it to that next level where he's going to be your number 1 scorer, at least for the Orlando Magic. But, I mean, looking at it, do you agree, disagree?
Well, for me, I would say that when you say either Ayton or Doncic, I would change it slightly. I would say there's 3 guys that I could see Kamish coming up saying the Orlando Magic at number 1 select blank. And it's either Doncic, Michael Porter Jr. if he plays this season, and Trae Young. Those are the guys. And the thing that I also look at is, the thing that I look at is, let's say I'm really buying in on maybe a Fournier trade. Let's say they trade with the Pistons, get their 20th pick this year, hypothetically. I'm looking at just my mock draft alone. You can go, I'll go point guard / ball handler number 1, and then at 20 I can either go 2 guard and Grayson Allen. I can go with a center in either Mitchell Robinson or Daniel Gafford. Like,
but
if
those
you
guys,
get that pick from
those
the
guys
Pistons,
don't have star potential. Like, those guys are projects.
But the star that, like, in this league, I am going with, and I've said it before on podcasts, if you ask me, Ricky, do you want a star in the backcourt or the front court? I'll pick backcourt all day. I want my point guard and my shooting guards to be my superstars, not my big guys.
And I mean, I'm not super familiar with this trade, but like, you're going to give up Fournier, a guy who is shooting as well as he is, 46% from the field, 39.6 from 3, dropping almost 18 points a game, and you're going to get back like a 20th pick? Like, what else are you getting in that deal? Because that is not a good deal. Because he's under contract for 2 more years after this.
Is it 2 or is it? I think it was longer than that when I looked at it. Maybe I was looking at it wrong. But he's got a player option.
2 and then a player option.
Okay.
Yeah. So 2020 is his player option year.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, you also look at Fournier though. He's chucking up shots. So how much of that? And he's doing it.
I say it's efficient.
He's doing it efficiently.
So
and I mean,
he is. But I mean, he's been on a bad team for 2 straight years and averaging 18 points per game. So how much of that is just the fact that he's getting the opportunities? I mean, again, he's doing it efficiently.
Getting looks without having
he's doing it. He's doing it efficiently. But my thing with Evan Fournier is if he's going to a team like Detroit, where they have Reggie Jackson who doesn't pass the ball, they have Toby, they have Andre Drummond. How many opportunities will he
Avery
get?
Bradley?
Avery Bradley as well. How many opportunities will he get, and will he be able to capitalize on those?
The thing is, and this is from Woj in the article, it's Detroit pursued a deal for Fournier, but it would have been hard to execute without Reggie Jackson's contract included, even if Detroit decided to include Luke Kennard in the deal. So it looks like Reggie Jackson, maybe Luke Kennard could have been in that deal. So if Fournier comes over, you won't have to deal with Reggie Jackson in Detroit.
That would have been a spicy meatball.
Yeah, but then you have to deal with Reggie Jackson or Orlando.
That's some 2K shit I would be down for. I'd send that.
Then that adds another deal. Let's say this is just hypothetical, that's all draft is. They get rid of Fournier. They bring in Reggie Jackson. How does that change all this?
Nothing. Reggie Jackson should be not on an NBA team.
But does that change things to where it's like, well, we're not going to go Trae Young. We're not going to go Doncic.
They should. They will. Wait, if they get Reggie Jackson, then take Luka. That makes it easier. That makes it 100%
Ricky's just got a vendetta out there for straight up. He's coming after Vucevic. He wants DeAndre Ayton to be that pick.
Straight up.
What I want to say is if they should not go Trae Young in any sense of the way. Do not go Trae Young. I mean, if they're the number one,
if they're
again, this is based. This is based on the number one overall pick.
What if they're number one?
If they are the number one overall pick, do not go Trae Young. If they're 3, 4, 5, definitely think about it. But if they are the number one overall pick, Luka Doncic should already be getting his Orlando Magic jersey. Yep. This guy should be your number one pick.
I agree.
It's ahead at the draft. Right?
He should be getting the jersey anyways because he's putting it on.
They can mail him the jersey ahead of time.
He's going to be getting the jersey at some point, so just mail it to him. Luka Doncic should be your number one pick if you are the Orlando Magic because, again, Aaron Gordon is a great player. I think those two compare very well together. You look at those two in a pick-and-roll setting, it would be filthy because you look at Doncic's ability to get to the hole, and you look at Luka's ability to pass as well. I mean, this guy has incredible passing skills. He's a guy that's completely well-rounded. He's a guy that's going to at least take away from at least Aaron Gordon's athleticism. And I'm not saying Aaron Gordon gets by strictly by athleticism alone, but he's a guy that definitely excels from his athleticism.
He kind of starts off the same mold as like Blake Griffin almost.
Yeah, and you look at Luka. Luka is that guy that's strictly fundamentals. Like not strictly, but like he is based on his fundamentals of basketball. So he's going to be a guy that is at least going to be a nice pair next to Aaron Gordon. And you look at Jonathan Isaac, he's going to be able to fill out that defensive role that you need in a team where you're going to have Luka because Luka's not that great defensively. So if you have a guy like LeBron James, you can push Luka over to the fucking 2 and have him guard there, and then Aaron or Jonathan Isaac, probably Isaac because he has that length and ability, he can, and hopefully what you want him to develop into could be a defensive stopper because he can guard that 3, 4, and 5 position. That's what we were saying consistently going into that NBA draft. But I think if you're going to be number one pick, it's Luka for sure. But maybe Ayton wins out because he does have that athleticism and he does have that ability to possibly turn into a shooter as well. I mean, we've seen his mid-range game be pretty decent this year.
I'll tell you this. If that trade, the one that Woj says, if they give up... Happening. I know, but if they get Reggie Jackson and Kennard for Fournier, they'd go DeAndre Ayton at number 1 because you'd get Kennard who would be... Okay, he can be slotted at a shooting guard. Reggie Jackson's obviously... point guard. And then in that case, I don't need Trae Young. I don't need Doncic. Looking at the center contracts for the Magic, Bismack Biyombo, player option 2019. Even if he accepts, he's off the books in 2020, not returning. Vucevic, he's 27 now, 28 and 18, 29. He'll be a free agent. I can decide what to do with him around 29. And I can have Ayton there either being the, hey, you're going to be the kind of third guy year one. Not really, no.
Ayton's starting right away.
Bismack Biyombo's done. What was I saying? Scratch that. Bismack Biyombo's done when they draft Ayton.
Vucevic is number 1.
No, what I'm saying
is... Ayton's number 1
What
over
I'm saying
Vucevic.
is Bismack is getting pushed to the side, and I could see them going a center and just being like, you know what, we'll eat the contract of Bismack whether it's 19 or 20.
Oh, man, I hope they don't do that deal for Reggie Jackson. That would be such an Orlando Magic move.
It would be.
I mean,
that's what I'm telling you.
This is a guy that doesn't pass or do anything. He's not a team player. He's not.
You need more starters.
You're ruining my time.
I'm telling you,
so bad for these Orlando Magic fans.
They should take Luka if they get 1, and I think anywhere beyond there is definitely Trae Young territory though. Yeah. Because they are going for that. They're going for that superstar pick. They're going for the potential. They'll eat the bust if they have to. but they need a game changer. So that's how I feel about it.
Reggie Jackson's not a game changer.
No, he's not. But Kennard.
I would like Kennard as
he's a nice piece, but he's not.
Too. I mean, he'd be a nice fifth starter because he's he's a good shooter.
Are you gonna elevate him over Mario Hezonja?
Yes,
he's putting his dues.
I mean, honestly, like the only player that I would want on my team, like if I have a starting five, and right now currently where they are, if I have a starting five and I have them picking from the Orlando Magic, there's one guy I will take, and it's Aaron Gordon. I'm not looking at anybody else. I don't want Fournier. I don't want
really.
No, I don't want Fournier.
The Fournier surprise. I think he's a decent player.
I think he's decent, but for starting out, no, I'm not going for him.
Wow.
I don't want him.
Then would you trade him? Not necessarily for Reggie Jackson, but trading him in general.
He's shipping everything if he's Orlando.
Oh yeah, they strip that team. They should strip that team boneless. Besides, Aaron Gordon and Jonathan Isaac, in my opinion. Jonathan Simmons is just recently signed, but he hasn't been great for them.
The Mo Spates thing is just confusing. Why did they go after Mo Spates?
How are you asking me Orlando Magic questions
about
why they did something?
You are our expert.
Why did they sign Bismack Biyombo to an $80 million contract or $72 million
because of that
contract?
one playoff series, man.
Jesus Christ! If they trade for Reggie Jackson, I will quit this podcast.
Oh,
I will make that.
You heard it right
Spicy.
here.
Okay, maybe not.
Damn.
Ricky going to that side of the desk next week.
Maybe I won't do that next week, Dave.
This threw me off.
Sean's vibe is gone.
I didn't think
I like how
the sad thing is that there was talks about that.
Here's the thing I love. We get a comment that it's like, hey, Sean's opinion is end all be all, and I throw two things at you that are Sean's end all be all.
Oh, hold on.
Don't trade for Reggie Jackson.
That's what I'm saying.
I know.
Definitely take Luka.
But that's what I'm saying.
No other options.
What Reggie Jackson would bring is the lack of mobility on that offense, and they already don't have ball movement on that offense. I mean, this is a team early on that was having success when they were moving the ball. That has pretty much gone away. This team has just floundered offensively and defensively. This team has just fallen off the map completely. Like I expected they would. Go watch Oakley's back from November.
Shut up.
But this is this is a thing where you bring in Reggie Jackson, and it's not like he's magically going to become a playmaker for you. It's not like he's magically going to start caring about basketball and anything other than Reggie Jackson. He's going to be a bum because he's currently a bum in Detroit. He's not going to change because you add him to a terrible Orlando Magic basketball team coached by the blandest mayonnaise boy in the world, Frank Vogel.
I think that about
Tell me how you really feel.
I did.
Orlando Magic. And just one last note. The draft doesn't change until 2019, the rules for the percentages. So this will be the last year that the number one pick will have the highest percentage.
I got yelled at one of you kids in the comments about, and I'm calling him
the percentage?
About the percentage.
It's 2019 is when it goes into effect.
Whatever. This is confusing. This is why there should be no rule changes. This is why I should go back to 90s basketball where the envelopes are frozen.
I'm all for that.
Teams are picked.
The Knicks are in every envelope so that Stern can't fuck it up.
This was a rough podcast, but I hope you enjoyed this podcast. Brought to you by Most Valuable Podcast. I was watching old videos back when we were doing previews. I used to intro it as the Most Valuable Podcast.
Yeah, you did.
It was horrible.
The Ohio State. That's what you were doing.
Jumping these.
Horrible.
The Ohio State.
But anyways, if the Orlando Magic fans, do you guys have the suicide prevention number pulled up?
Hotline? Yeah, just scroll that across the bottom.
Just do that in case of Reggie Jackson trade to Orlando Magic. Put that up there because it's going to be some dark days in Orlando. Because
he's under contract for a while.
I'm hoping for my boy Vagberg on Twitter, who made an excellent video on the 2017-2018 Orlando Magic, and my buddy on Twitter. He has hashtag loose for Luka as his name on Twitter.
Yep.
I'm hoping they get Luka for him because that's going to be the perfect fit for them. If they're not able to because he's just off the board, then that's fine. But if they pass him up, that's going to pain.
Yeah, you just start bouncing the head off the table
because
a little bit.
I think this is going to be a guy that you in Orlando you need stability. This kid can bring you stability and more. I think Aaron Gordon's showing you that he could be something very special in this league, and pairing those two is definitely the right step in moving this franchise forward and finally getting something relevant in Orlando since 2010 when you had Dwight Howard. And I feel like you need to get that going sooner rather than later. And I feel like that's the reason why you need to go a guy like Luka over a guy like Trae Young or over a guy like DeAndre Ayton who can't play defense. You need someone who's going to be stable out there. Luka is going to be able to bring that to you. And Reggie Jackson for sure is not going to fucking bring that to your team. Anyways, tell us what you think down in the comments below about any of our topics that we talked about this day. We talked about Lou Williams, talked about Clippers, talked about Miami Heat. We talked about the Orlando Magic, obviously, as this is the topic. For Dave Oster, Ricky Widmer.
Don't forget your housekeeping.
Love having them in the podcast. I was about to get to it. I was just thanking you guys.
I got worried when he started saying names. I was like, oh, no, we're done.
Well, now you guys aren't talking anymore, so that's why I'm leaving you go. Okay. But thank you guys for joining as always. I love having you on the podcast.
Welcome.
Guys, don't forget to check out patreon.com/mostofitpodcast. Also, check out mostofitpodcast.com. You can check out shirts there. You can check out our about pages. You can find everything from the Rick and Johnny podcast, Brandon Swanson's podcast. That's what I think over there. You can check out Primetime Podcast. You can also check out the Onside Kick. And also, if you're listening on iTunes, give us 5 stars and add a comment if you like as well. Thinking what you think about the Fast Break, Onside Kick, Primetime Podcast, and Ricky Johnny. We love hearing your guys' feedback. And if you're listening on Bullock Talk Radio, also a huge shout out to you as well. Dave Oster, Ricky Widmer, I'm Sean Anderson. We'll see you next time.